I moved my assets when I sensed my wife was planning a divorce. 2 weeks later, she filed. Then called it a joke when it backfired. Hello Reddit, I plus here. Hey everyone, before we dive into today's story, a quick favor. If you like stories with twists, betrayal, and a little sweet justice, hit that subscribe button. It's free, fast, and helps keep the channel alive. Alright, let's get into it. My name is Ethan Cole. I'm 37 years old, live in Arizona, and for most of my adult life, I thought I was a lucky man. My wife Natalie and I had been married for 5 years. We met at a 4th of July BBQ. She was beautiful, sharp, witty, the kind of woman who knew how to hold a conversation and a glass of wine with equal elegance. We had chemistry, real electric chemistry. We were inseparable within 6 months. A whirlwind romance. One of those stories you think ends in fairy tales, but apparently, not all fairy tales end with a happy marriage. Some end with asset protection clauses. For the first few years, everything seemed fine. Perfect, even. We bought a house together, traveled, talked about having kids. She even helped me get through some hard times when I lost my dad. I thought we were solid, real partners. But then, about 7 months ago, things changed. It didn't happen all at once. It was slow, quiet, like termites under the floorboards. By the time you realize something's wrong, the damage is already done. Natalie started taking her phone everywhere. And I mean everywhere. She used to be careless with it, leaving it face up on the counter, the table. But now, it was always in her pocket, always face down. And suddenly, her password changed. I didn't even know she had a password. When I asked about it, she laughed it off. Work drama, she said. We have new security rules. Seemed reasonable. Except she worked in an art gallery, not the Pentagon. Then the late-night texts started. Glances at her screen, a smirk, and then the phone back in her pocket. She stopped sharing details about her day. We used to talk every night over dinner, but now it felt like I was eating with a roommate, not my wife. I tried to ignore it. Told myself I was being paranoid, but the knot in my gut wouldn't go away. Then came the kicker. One Thursday afternoon, Natalie said she was meeting her friend Hannah for coffee after work. Cool. She'd done it before, but I happened to be in the area and figured I'd surprise them. Maybe even pick up their tab. Only when I pulled into the cafe parking lot, she wasn't with Hannah. She was standing outside, pacing with her phone to her ear, saying things like, "It's all almost ready," and "Fresh start, no ties." I stayed in my car, didn't confront her, just listened. When she got home, she smiled and said Hannah was going through a tough breakup, that she'd spent the whole afternoon comforting her. I nodded, but my stomach dropped. She was lying, and I knew it. The next few days, I went into silent observation mode. I wasn't looking to catch her cheating. I was looking for a pattern, a motive. Then one night, over dinner, Natalie suddenly said, "We should really get all our financial stuff in one place. Just in case, emergencies." I raised an eyebrow. "What kind of emergencies?" "Oh, nothing serious," she said, too casually. "Just smart planning. We should know where everything is. Account numbers, logins, titles, everything." Now that was not Natalie. She hated spreadsheets. She once left her debit card in the freezer by accident. Something was off. I played dumb, smiled, and said, "Yeah, sure, we'll talk about it this weekend." But I didn't wait. That same night, I called my Uncle Mark. He's a retired estate attorney. I told him everything. He didn't laugh. He didn't say I was overreacting. Instead, he said, "Ethan, move fast, quietly. You're not being paranoid, you're being smart." So I did. I shifted my savings into an account in my name only. The house, originally mine before we got married, was moved into a family trust under my mother's name. I transferred stocks, assets, even my small business shares. I left just enough in our joint account to make everything look normal. Natalie didn't suspect a thing. She came home, kissed me like nothing was wrong, and curled up next to me on the couch like we were still soulmates. 2 weeks passed. Then one night, she turned off the TV, sat beside me and said, "We need to talk." I knew it. My heart dropped. "I've been thinking," she said, with the rehearsed calm of someone who had practiced in the mirror. "I want a divorce." I didn't flinch. I just nodded slowly. She seemed surprised I didn't argue. She gave a long, overly emotional monologue about how she'd lost herself in the marriage, and how she had sacrificed so much, and how she deserved to start over. Then she said the thing that set my blood boiling. "I've already spoken to a lawyer, and I think it's fair that I get half of everything. The house, the savings, the investments. After all, I helped build this life too." That was her angle. Take me for all I had, and walk away like some triumphant movie heroine. Except, the script had changed. She just didn't know it yet. I said, "All right, if that's what you want, we'll do it right." She smiled. Actually smiled, like she'd won. But when her lawyer sent over the proposed financials, That's when it all fell apart. She had demanded 50% of everything, only to discover she didn't own anything. The house? Not in my name. The stocks and accounts? Moved. The business? Transferred. Even the car title was in my mother's name now. Natalie's lawyer tried to fight it, claimed I was hiding assets. But everything had been moved legally, above board, and long before she filed. The judge saw through it. Then came the worst part, for her. When confronted with how she'd been cut out of everything, Natalie tried to spin the whole thing as a joke. She actually said, I wasn't seriously going to divorce him. It was just a rough patch. I just wanted to see what my options were. A joke? She filed paperwork. She listed assets. She planned this. But now that it backfired, she wanted to pretend it was a prank? I walked away from that courtroom free and clear. No spousal support, no asset division, nothing. Just peace. I later found out who had been coaching her. A guy named Jake, a co-worker who she had gotten close to over the past few months. He had sold her the fantasy. Ditch your husband, get half, and ride into the sunset together. Except Jake bailed the moment her plan collapsed. Natalie tried texting me a month later, said she missed me, that we could work it out. I blocked her. I wasn't mad. Just done. Because love isn't a game. And if you treat it like one, don't be surprised when you lose everything. Moral of the story? Protect yourself. Trust your gut. And if someone starts acting strange, don't panic. Just prepare. About 2 months after the divorce was finalized, I started to rebuild, quietly. I moved into a new place, a modern condo overlooking the desert hills. Nothing extravagant, but peaceful. For the first time in years, I was sleeping soundly. No secrets, no tension, no pretending. But then came the text. From a number I didn't recognize at first. Hey, I've been thinking about us. Can we talk? It was Natalie. I stared at the screen for a long time. She had the audacity to text me after everything. After trying to take everything I'd built. After dragging me through a divorce that she engineered to strip me clean. And now she wanted to talk? I didn't reply. I was done with that chapter. A few days later, another message came. This time longer. I made a huge mistake. Jake was a liar. He used me and left the moment things got hard. I thought I knew what I wanted. But I was wrong. I miss you, Ethan. I miss us. It was almost laughable. The woman who treated our marriage like a transaction was now playing the victim. And then came the final kicker. She showed up at my office. She must have stalked me online to figure out where my new job was because, one afternoon, as I was wrapping up a meeting, my assistant buzzed in. Ethan, there's a woman here to see you. She says it's personal. I walked out, and there she was. Standing in the lobby in a white blouse and tight jeans, like she thought she could just flip her hair and walk back into my life. The look on her face when I gave her a polite smile and said, "Please don't come here again," was priceless. But she wasn't done embarrassing herself. A week later, I got a call from my mother. "Ethan, did you tell Natalie I was holding your assets?" "What? Number, why would I?" "Well," she sighed, "because she just showed up at my door." I was floored. Apparently, Natalie drove to my mom's house uninvited, rang the bell, crying, begging her to talk. She claimed she just wanted closure, but halfway through the conversation, she tried asking my mom if she'd consider transferring just a portion of the savings back, saying it was only fair, since Natalie had invested years into me. My mom? She's not the type to lose her cool, but she told me, and I quote, "I told that little actress to get off my porch before I called the police." Natalie left in tears, and you'd think that would be the end of it, but no. The final blow came at a mutual friend's engagement party. I hadn't planned on going, but the groom was an old college buddy. I showed up, trying to keep a low profile, but of course Natalie was there too, and she made a scene. It started subtle, her staring at me from across the room, trying to catch my eye. Then she moved closer, asking people how I was doing, pretending we were still in touch. I ignored her, until she tried to corner me outside during the toast. "Ethan," she whispered, grabbing my arm, "can we please talk?" I turned to face her, calm, but tired. "You lost the right to talk to me the moment you tried to gut me in court," I said. "I was confused," she pleaded. "Jake lied to me. He made me think." "Think what?" I cut her off. "That marriage is a business deal? That you could just cash out?" People nearby were starting to notice the tension. "I loved you," she said, voice breaking. "No," I said quietly. "You loved the life, you loved the comfort, but the moment you thought you could get more, you tried to trade up." Then, without raising my voice, I said something that shut the whole party down. "You didn't just betray me, you underestimated me, and I hope one day you realize what you lost. Not the money, but the man who actually cared about you." Dead silence. She stared at me like I'd slapped her, and then she stormed off. Everyone watched. No one followed her. Natalie tried reaching out a few more times after that. Emails, DMS, even a letter, handwritten, saying she'd found God and wanted forgiveness, but I'd already found peace. Forgiveness is for people who change. She hadn't. I blocked every avenue. The last I heard, Jake had ghosted her completely. She moved back in with her older sister, picked up part-time gallery work again, and stopped posting on social media entirely. Me? I started dating again. Slowly, carefully, but this time, I lead with eyes wide open. No more blind trust, no more shared passwords, no more illusions. Because once you've stared betrayal in the face and walked away standing, you don't hand your heart over so easily again. And honestly, I'm okay with that.